Hey guys, welcome to Tyson's Fitness Tips podcast. If you want to lose weight, increase your energy, improve your health and fitness, and look your best, then you have come to the right place. My name is Tyson Brown. I'm a personal trainer, and my job is to help you transform your body by sharing with you the most up-to-date information on health and fitness. I'm going to distill it all down for you into bite-sized actionable steps that you can take immediately to see results quickly. Now, every Tuesday and Thursday, you can expect a brand new episode, which will be a mixture of interviews with top experts from around the world in the fitness space, and as well as solo episodes from myself, sharing with you exactly what action steps you need to take to transform your health, your body, and your life. Also, don't forget to listen all the way to the end of the show, because in the middle, I'm going to share with you a time-saving tip, and it might just be a game changer. I know you're short on time, and this one can save you a lot of time and a lot of energy. So, let's get into the show. Off the cuff and just go back and forth to talk about what you're doing at the moment and things you recommend. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Awesome. What is going on, guys? It is Tyson Brown here, back with another episode of Tyson's Fitness Tips. Now, today, I'm bringing someone who I had, maybe on one of the first 10 episodes I ever did. And the reason I wanted to bring him back today is because he's actually going through what most of us go through at the moment. He's experiencing the weight loss goals. So, his name is Eric Bach. He is over from the United States, even though he's not sitting with me in person. But, Eric, welcome to the show. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Tyson, what's going on, man? I'm doing well. You know, as you mentioned, going through the fat loss thing right now, so I'm a little bit hungry, drinking some water, but that's par for the course, and I'm excited to be here.
Nice, man. Cool. And so, yeah, Eric, obviously, why don't you tell us, first of all, how come you're, going through this weight loss journey, this fat loss journey at the moment? What's going on with you?
Yeah, so let me just start from the top and kind of how it all began and why I like to do this on occasion. So, I'm fortunate to be in a position where I do stay pretty lean most of the time. But as a coach, it's so important to understand the challenges and the struggles that our clients go through and that regular people go through when it comes to losing weight. Because as a coach, we're surrounded by this fitness stuff all the time, and it's really easy to get stuck in this bubble and think, oh, you just do it caloric deficit and exercise, that's all you need. Well, fat loss is a little bit more complex than that, and especially when you bring in the aspect that, we all have social lives that we got to work around. We have to deal with hunger, we have to stay productive at work, and we also have to think about our families and about our friends and all these different interactions that we all go through. And a few weeks back, I was actually in San Diego for a mastermind, and I was actually at a nightclub with a couple friends drinking some vodka, and we were having a good time, and we were all sitting there and having a discussion, and we said, you know what? We actually all need to dial it in. We have not been, nailing our diet as much as we can, or our training, and what we need to do is show everyone the process, because a lot of people, especially in the social media era that we're in right now, it's really easy to see everyone's highlight reel, to see all these photos that are doctored, and to see everyone's looking shredded and lean and think this is exactly what I need to accomplish to be happy with my body. And then you see an infographic that says all you need to do is eat, calories in pounds times 10, eat high protein and get rid of carbs, and you can do it. It's not quite that easy. So what we decided is, we're going to we thought we had 45 days, or 42 days, and we actually have 34. And we're going to get as shredded as we can in the safest way possible, but show the entire journey. So show our meals, show our workouts, talk about the hunger, talk about the issues that we run into, because it's important for everyone to see that as fitness professionals, we understand how difficult this is, and we go through the same thing that you guys do, because I want to be able to show you all the things that I've gone through so you can understand and apply them to your life, and apply them to the diet, and apply them to the weight loss struggle that you might be going through. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell.
I think that's really cool, because one thing I noticed with you coming up as a kid, you actually weren't overweight, right? You were, you played the sports and things like that. You weren't overly jacked either, but you came from a different area of where some people are coming from. So now you're going through this journey and showing people that, hey, you're experiencing the exact same things they are, going through the struggles, especially as an adult, because they think, you did it as a kid, it was easier. People can relate to you more too.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting, right? I mean, I would say the majority of people that are going to the gym these days are looking to lose weight, and it takes 5 seconds to look around and understand why. Or if you want to look at the statistics, here in the U.S., 70% of the population is overweight, and almost 40% is obese. So most people, yeah, they are looking to lose weight, and I was always looking to build muscle, but when it comes back to it, the root cause of why we are looking to accomplish these transformations with our physique, whether it's building muscle or losing fat, come back to one thing. And that's, it's not the abs that we're after or big biceps that we're after. It's the way that those things make us feel, because deep down, whether you're trying to build muscle or lose fat, generally there's either a motivation that you need to do something for your health and for your family, or you need to do this because losing the weight will help you be more confident. It will help you appreciate the reflection that you see in the mirror. It's not necessarily, like I said, the end result of the abs or the biceps. It's the journey that it takes you on, and it's the way that those things make you feel and the way that you see yourself. So for me, for building muscle, it was always, I was always a small kid. I was the weak kid. I felt insecure in who I was, and I needed to build some muscle for sports and to build that confidence. And I see the same thing when it comes to fat loss. It's, you don't feel comfortable in your clothes. You don't like the reflection in the mirror, and you need to be able to lose the weight both for your health and then so you appreciate the person that you can be, and to teach yourself these habits and understand that fitness can be a vehicle to live a much better life. So though fat loss and building muscle appear opposite, the mechanism deep down that motivates all of us is really the same, and it's overcoming that dissatisfaction so we can become more, so we can become better. And that's what this is all about.
Oh, dude, that is so key that you just, like, said that thing there. And that's, as soon as you said that, the first word that came to my head was confidence, right? So it doesn't matter, like, everyone's goal, it's because they want to feel good in their body. And also, you want to feel comfortable being able to go wherever you want to go. So whether that's building muscle, whether it's losing fat, having that confidence and just feeling good about yourself is what we are all chasing at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. Like I said, it's easy to get bogged down in the world of seeing, some oiled up abs on Instagram and some big biceps and think that's what I want. But really, once you get down to it, you can have those things and not be happy with where you are if you never understand why you're getting there in the first place. So the big lesson here is going to be, you want to accomplish, you want to have this body. Why do you want to have it? What is a deep down thing that really matters to you? And defining that why. And when you understand what that why is, it becomes much easier to stay motivated and to put in the work, even when it's the last thing that you want to do, even when you're hungry, even when you're tired. Define that why and understand that it probably comes back to confidence in the way that you're going to portray yourself, and you'll be in a much better position to succeed with your transformation.
I really, really like that point. That was awesome. Now, one thing that I heard you say earlier when you were talking about, you've got 34 days, is that right?
Yeah, 34 days.
So I like the deadline that you've given for yourself. Now, why did you give yourself a deadline of 34 days?
Well, so originally we had planned 42 days, and we were just about to book our photographer, and one of the guys in the group. So there's four of us. Well, three of us are. We're going to say three right now, and one had just a scheduling issue, and so we realized like, hey, I've got to go to a bachelor party. I can't make the 30th of June, the original date that we decided. So we're like, oh shit, guys, we've got to really change things up a little bit, and we've got to, put this thing really full throttle and pedal to the metal. We gave a deadline because a goal stays a dream without a deadline. Personally, I do much better with short-term aggressive deadlines, seeing the results from those, and then continuing to go on from that point rather than setting something very long. Something very long-term. But having a short-term goal really allows you to see the end or know that the end is coming, and it really allows you to go all in towards something with everything that you have for that duration of time. I find that short-term aggressive goals are very important for people looking to get started with fat loss or with building muscle and trying to make something happen, because it needs to be difficult. Like, to really accomplish these goals and to change your habits and to change these lifestyle aspects, making things difficult, but then overcoming that struggle builds the most momentum and the best mindset that you can have in the short term, and be able to transfer the progress that you're making into a long-term strategy to see long-term results. So to rephrase that, doing something short-term and aggressive is going to allow you to make the small wins that you need to keep going. Most people fail at a transformation because they don't have a number of small wins or things that they can reflect back on and say, wow, look at the progress that I made, and then they lose momentum. So when we set a short-term goal, that's going to mean it's going to be ultimate accountability. The end is in sight. And the way I see it, I can push myself through just about anything for a short enough period of time if I know that the end goal is within reach. And that's why we set an aggressive deadline, because with that time frame, we can buy in, we can suck it up, put things on the back end for a bit if needed, and really make some crazy things happen.
Interesting. The one thing when you were saying about a deadline, having an aggressive goal, you said in there it's going to be difficult. And I really appreciate you saying that, because so many people, we see it on Instagram, we see it everywhere, oh, let's make fat loss easy. And to be honest, it's not easy to lose fat, because you're going to have temptations. There are going to be things there, and you do have to learn how to overcome those obstacles, and it's going to be difficult during that time.
Yeah, that's the truth. I always like to say, and this is true for both fat loss and building muscle, but it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yes.
Fat loss and building muscle are both simple, but they are not easy.
People confuse those two terms.
Exactly. And, not to go off in a tangent here, but we are in a world, at least especially here in most places in the United States, where we are for the first time dying of diseases and illnesses that are coming from excess, not from not having enough, but having too much. And definitely in a culture that is coddled, and that people want things to be as simple and as easy as possible. Now, I'm not going to go off and talk about warrior culture and stuff like that, though that is very interesting to get into. But in a society where we are mostly devoid of challenges, that we have not really been ever in society, the gym is a place for you to really embrace things that are going to be a challenge, and to forge that willpower and to forge that determination that you need to improve things much and further outside of fitness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it takes people a while to be able to connect those dots in the head, but when you think about it on a deeper level, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%, because there are so many different aspects really that tie into making a transformation. It's one thing to say, you need to eat for a caloric deficit. Well, that's fine. And yeah, that's true. But what sacrifices go into that? Okay, maybe you need to make different meals than the rest of your family. Maybe you need to
change your
not go out on the weekends. Yeah, maybe you need to change the environment. Maybe you need to change when you're eating. All these other habits, they are simple, but they are difficult to do. And to change the thing, or to change your habits and to change the lifestyle and to really get the results that are going to stick long term, there is an aspect where you have to understand it is going to be difficult. And you have to look that in the face, and you have to approach it, and you have to attack it. It's about having that mentality of understanding things are going to be difficult, but I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to get through this because I'm tough and I want to accomplish my goal, and here's why.
Nice. I really like that. And that's the thing, guys, whatever, this is for you guys to think about, whatever your goal is, think about what roadblocks are going to come up in the way, or how you're going to change that. Because like Eric said, yeah, you've got to eat different meals, but what does that actually mean? Are you going to have to maybe have dinner at a different time from your family so you're not tempted by other food? Or are you going to have to prepare meals ahead of time, and that means you're going to have to sacrifice an hour on the weekend? Just think about what steps have got to go in to that simple thing that we've actually got to be working towards.
Yeah, so let me give you a working example, actually, because we just had Memorial Day here in the U.S., and my dad was in town for 6 days. And my dad, he knows what's going on. I'm trying to do all this, cutting down and a caloric deficit. However, when family's visiting that you don't see very often, that's a prime time where you're most likely you're going to have bigger meals, longer dinners, maybe some cocktails, stuff like that. And to understand that those are things that sometimes are going to have to be sacrificed when it comes to doing a diet. So, for me, I knew that was coming up. So the week before, I took my calories down about another 10%, so a couple hundred calories, and I was very hungry throughout the week to build a little bit of a buffer for when my dad was in town. Now, I wasn't able to do all my normal training, but My dad's 58, and I'm like, Dad, you want to come to the gym with me? Cool. So my dad and I did a couple workouts. I wasn't on my normal routine, but I was able to do some different things and include him. In terms of diet, I had to eat very light throughout the day, but I wanted to be able to save my calories for the evening so I could have a more social dinner. So I was doing a fast where I was having one meal per day. So I was doing pretty much a 20-hour fast for the most part when he was here. And that still allowed me the flexibility to have 1,700 to 2,000 calories a day, which is still a pretty good sized meal. But that allowed me to still have the social aspects of what was going to of the dynamics of the situation. So, in terms of being able to work around family and working around these different restrictions, the most important thing is going to be what's going to be practical for these different situations and planning ahead. Now, I know a lot of people can't do or haven't done fast like in that duration. That's fine. I'm not saying there's any one perfect way, but that's just an example of how I've worked around, having family in town and being able to still work towards my goals, but also be able to enjoy some of the finer things in life, such as a good meal.
Alright guys, we are halfway through the episode, so you know what that means. It's time for another episode of Tyson's Quick Tips. Today I want to speak to you about how you can create a calorie deficit very, very simply and know how much you need to eat. First thing you need to do is to get your body weight in kilos. Now if you're in pounds, you divide this number by 2.2. So if you're 100 pounds, you divide it by 2.2. Now, once you have that number in kilograms, you're going to multiply that by 30. So if you're 70 kilos and you multiply that by 30, that equals 2,100 calories. Now from there, you take away 10%. So that would be 1,900 calories that you're going to be consuming, and that's what's going to help you lose weight, right? So it's your calories and body weight times 30, then take away 10%, and that's going to give you the answer as to how many calories you need to be able to lose weight and look great. That is your tip of the day. Now let's get back to the episode. Cool. So the big thing we really want to be thinking about here, like just to reiterate that, is just to plan ahead, right? Like you said, you knew that was coming up, so you made some small little sacrifices on the way, but so you weren't giving up your full lifestyle either. Like, yeah, you still had to make those restrictions at the end of the day, but you were still able to integrate, spending time with your family on Memorial Day, and you just made a few changes here and there by preparing ahead of time.
Exactly. Yep, that's the key. It's failing to plan is planning to fail. So you need to look ahead, and especially for fat loss, if that means, you mentioned prepping meals on the weekends, doing something like that, set yourself up for success. If you have a plan of action and you take the proper steps to make things simple, not easy, but simple, when they're going to be hectic, such as during the week, especially if you have a busy schedule, you're going to have a much better chance at long-term success.
I love it. So we've talked about setting a deadline. You've talked about preparing ahead of time. What else are you doing at the moment to help keep you on track?
You know what? Especially, when it pertains to fat loss, staying busy. Now, obviously, we're tracking all of this stuff on social media and, on Instagram. If you check out there, I've got daily stories and things that I'm going through right now, and just laying it all out there on the line. So staying busy is number one. So I'm taking on a few more work projects than usual just to keep my mind occupied, because if I have spare time, I'm going to be more likely to think about food and to cheat. So one thing, fill up your schedule. If you are going to go on a fat loss diet, that is going to help keep your brain occupied and not thinking about food. So that is one thing that's helping me out quite a bit. A couple different strategies I am implementing. One, I always like to say I'm not dogmatic when it comes to diet, but when it comes to fat loss, I find that intermittent fasting for me and for many of my clients is a much better option, because by not eating early in the day, one, I'm not a huge breakfast eater anyway, but not eating early in the day allows me to stick within my calorie needs throughout the week and throughout the day, but still have some bigger meals in the evening where I can enjoy a bigger meal, with clients or with my wife, and still do those things and enjoy them to the fullest. So by finding a dietary strategy that allows you to still have a social life and not just, picking at your food like a bird, you're going to be able to have a lot more enjoyment directly in your diet.
Cool. So I like that thing that you said, like, because I'm obviously a big proponent of intermittent fasting, and, it doesn't work for everyone, but it's a very, very effective method for you to still have a good, decent sized meal without, like you said, without feeling like you're eating a couple of strands of lettuce and something, some chicken breast, and that's all you can have, because you're able to, let's say, save your calories for those bigger meals.
That's exactly it. It's like I said, I like to eat big. I I struggled for the longest time to build muscle, and now I've got my appetite to the point where I enjoy big meals. So if I'm going to cut down, if I can still have some of that, it allows me to focus on the most important thing with a fat loss diet, and is making sure that my calories, that I'm in a caloric deficit. So if intermittent fasting is a tool that's going to allow you to eat a meal that you enjoy, but also hit your calories where they need to be, you're going to be in a position of success.
Nice, dude. And so you said one thing there, which is really important, which I'd actually talked about the other day, and an idle mind is the devil's workshop, right? So you've got to be keeping busy, guys, as much as you can, because when you have those cravings for food, it's because you're not stimulating your mind. Think about when you do have those cravings for food. It's when you're sitting around watching Netflix. It's when you're, scrolling through Instagram, not doing anything productive. That's when you're like, oh, I could really go for a bag of chips right now, or I could go and do this. So try and find things that are going to keep your mind stimulated, or keep you away from food, whether it be going for a walk in the park or doing something that's going to keep you away from those cravings.
Yeah, that's very important. And let me kind of piggyback off of that. And that's another reason that I like fasting. But now that I'm a couple weeks in, 10 days in, give or take, for the diet, in a position now where hunger signals and stuff like that really start to ramp up. Your body starts to want to fight back on you a little bit. One thing that is increasingly important the longer you are in the diet is going to be sleep and sleep quality, because if you are not getting enough sleep, one, your dietary discipline is going to go down. You're going to be more and more likely to say, forget this, and grab a bag of chips or grab something that you're craving. You are going to suffer from impaired insulin sensitivity more than likely. So your body's not going to break down the food that you're putting in quite as well. And you're also going to have fluctuations in hormones like testosterone and growth hormone, which, if those are out of whack, it can lead to easier fat gain and more difficult time building muscle. So the longer you are in a diet, the more important that sleep becomes in terms of being able to lose fat. I cannot state how important that quality sleep is for fat loss.
Oh my God. I think whether it be fat loss, whether it be anything, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're kind of pissing in the wind at that point. You're putting in all the effort when it comes to diet and workout, but you can undo all of that with 1 or 3 or how many bad nights sleep, because you start to crave sugar. You're not going to recover as much. You're not going to have clear thinking, and it can just totally undo all of your hard work.
Oh man, it's so true. It's kind of like the other day, I didn't sleep well. And I woke up hungry. I didn't sleep well, and then I wasn't productive at work. And I wasn't productive, so then I got more stressed out, and it just starts this vicious cycle. And it wasn't until the next night when I got a good night's sleep that I was able to kind of get everything back in line and really, focus on what I needed to get done. So just understand that cutting back on sleep, especially when you're dieting, can lead to some negative consequences.
So can we just quickly ask Eric, so how do you manage to have a good night's sleep? Is there certain things you do to make sure, all right, I'm making my sleep really important right now? Obviously every night, but how do you dial in those little things that are going to help you sleep better?
Yeah, so a few things that I focus on. First, I try to keep hours that are as consistent as possible. Luckily I'm in the position where I'm self-employed and I can make those hours and be fairly stringent there. That is going to be point number 1. Number 2, eliminate all the light in your room. So blackout curtains are going to be very important. I use a sleep mask, which it's pretty sexy, as you can imagine. Wearing a sleep mask every night.
Is it a Sleep Master?
Honestly, I don't recall. I took a number of red-eye flights, and I just started compiling all these different sleep masks. It just kind of cycled through them now. So, I use that. If you live in a spot where it is not quiet, I've had some apartments that are that way. A white noise machine can be an absolute lifesaver, as well as turning on fans in your room. That can provide some ambient noise so you don't get distracted in the evening. And then finally, a cool temperature. My air conditioning actually broke 2 weeks ago, and that was a fun fix. I had to buy a new air conditioner. But if you try to sleep when it's, if we're talking Fahrenheit, 75, 80 degrees, like a summer temperature outside, but in your bedroom, you're really going to struggle because your brain cannot actually cool down and dissipate that heat for melatonin to be released and for you to truly relax. So ideally, if we're talking temperatures in Fahrenheit, 61 to 66 degrees is going to help you fall asleep quicker and sleep deeper.
Oh my God, it's so important to be in a cool room because speaking of that about your aircon broke, I actually never owned an aircon before, like living in Sydney, and I was waking up at night and I was sweating and I was having a terrible sleep, and aircons, they're not cheap, but I made the investment. And as soon as I bought it, because it provided that white noise and also because it made my room cooler, all of a sudden I was sleeping like a baby and it was like the best thing I've done. So do not stint out when it comes to keeping your room cool.
Yeah, overall, just everyone likes to focus on training, nutrition, and sleep. Always gets put in the back burner, especially if you run, kind of like you and I do in some of the entrepreneurial type circles, and everyone's like hustle, 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 grind, grind, grind. I can sleep when I die, and wearing a lack of sleep like a badge of honor. Well, you're going to pay the piper in the long run. It's not going to be a great situation for you. Making sleep a priority is probably the most important thing that most of us can do to get smarter, get in better shape, and be in a better mood. So though the temptation is to, watch another season of Netflix and to, just drown it out with more coffee in the morning, that's a short-term Band-Aid for what can be a long-term problem if you let it get out of control.
Oh man, for sure. You're bringing up those again. It's these simple things, but the simple stuff is what's going to make the biggest difference for you.
Exactly. Everyone wants to make it complicated because complicated or having like a new marketing hook or having this new type of diet or this new type of cleanse or this new way to work out is fancy. People like new. People like things that maybe haven't been done before. But the truth is, when you focus on the basics and making sure that you execute them day in and day out, that's when you will find success, and that's when you will find mental clarity and get out of that situation where you're, changing programs and changing diets and really struggling with all those components. So when in doubt, simplify.
For sure. Now, Eric, I want to cover one big point here when it comes to training, because the type of your training you're doing at the moment, you're doing a combination of things. But one thing I see a lot of people make the mistake is that when they want to start losing weight, what do? They drop the weights and they just do cardio. And I want you to tell us what your program looks like, because I'm sure you're still doing weight training in your routine.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, that's really the biggest issue that most people do. They turn every single workout into some high rep volume, high intensity interval training type workout. The main priority when it comes to resistance training is and always is to build strength and muscle. When it comes to losing fat and trying to, reveal your best body, get that beach body, the goal of weight training and the type of weight training should not really change that much. The goal then becomes holding on to lean muscle and holding on to strength. What happens when you turn every session into a pumping session where you're out of breath and gasping for air, your body does start to lose that muscle. It starts to burn off the stored muscle fibers that you have. And when you start to lose the lean muscle tissue that you have, your metabolism slows down. When your metabolism slows down, it gets harder to burn fat. You have to take calories lower and lower. And you can also suffer from issues, related to lowering testosterone and growth hormone release, which make it even harder to lose fat. So the most important thing you can do is actually continue to lift heavier, but actually decrease your training volume. In training volume, the number of sets and reps that you're completing in an individual workout should decrease because you are not providing your body as much fuel as you were before to recover and build muscle. So my strategy is almost in complete opposition of like what typical, magazines that are pushing out all this high rep idea to carb and tone your muscles. That's not how it works. What you should actually do is lift heavier to preserve the lean muscle that you have, to preserve your hormone levels, to preserve your metabolism and your strength, and then let your diet do the heavy lifting when it comes to losing the body fat.
I love it. It's funny because you're going against what you're doing what is supposed to be done, but everyone wants to do the opposite thing, and it's like you really have to go against the grain when it comes to these things. You've got to lift heavy too, because you're not going to be able to build a lot of muscle when you're not providing your body with enough calories. So you've got to make sure you're keeping and preserving what you've actually got instead of risking losing it during this time.
Exactly. Like what happens is so many people say they want to lose fat and they completely change what they're doing and their strength goes out the window. And then they start to lose muscle. And then instead of getting, the strong, defined tone, look, whatever buzzword you want to apply to it, they start to get soft. They lose any curves. They lose, the muscle mass that they had. And they, instead of being like just building that hard, defined look that we all want, you get soft. You get the skinny fat look, whatever word you want to attach to it. But that's what happens most of the time. And then you get stuck in a vicious cycle of thinking I need to do more and more workouts or I need to drop my calories more and more. And it just exacerbates and gets out of control. So continue to lift heavy even when you're dieting down. If you want to add a little bit more cardio, that's completely fine. But just realize that your diet is going to do nearly all of the work when it comes to losing fat. Your primary goal with training is not to burn more calories. It's going to be negligible anyway. It's going to be to hold on to the lean muscle mass that you already have. So you do build that, that rock hard body, that look that you're after.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can, no matter what, you can still not out train your diet. Your diet is going to provide you the results you want, whether it be bulking, cutting fat, whatever it is. It's the diet that's the key.
Yes, 100%.
So we've talked about training, we've talked about sleep, we've talked about prepare. What are you doing? Like, is this, you're not, are you keeping your carbs in your diet? Are you keeping your protein high? What's going on with the nutrition at the moment?
Yeah, so looking a little bit more specifically, I am keeping carbohydrates high for now. I'll talk about that in a moment. So looking at the top for protein, I'm about 35 to 40% protein. My body weight's in the low 170s right now. I'm having, 200-ish grams of protein per day, just because that allows me to feel satiated, feel full throughout the day, and just retain as much lean muscle as possible. The science behind protein in the caloric deficit, basically you're not going to have a big benefit of having more than 1 gram per pound of body weight. So, am I really doing much more? No, but my calories are in line, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Carbohydrates are, 30 to 40%, and then fat is going to be about 20% right now. So I'm eating a higher carbohydrate and lower fat diet because the higher carbohydrates right now are allowing me to continue exercising at a high intensity. So, anything you can do to maintain the performance of your training, especially in a fat loss diet, is going to help you lose fat. But the biggest thing is making sure that your calories are in line. Now, coming into the final 3 weeks of the program, I am going to start gradually lowering my carbohydrates, and I probably will be under 100 grams per day coming into the final couple weeks. And I might spike them up once per week. Okay. But the big thing here is, I do function pretty well with low carbohydrate diets. And a lot of times, your body does adapt to whatever type of diet that you have it on a regular basis. And sometimes flipping things on their head, especially for fat loss, not as much for building muscle, can lead to some faster fat loss. But the most important thing will still be overall calories. And then just changing my food sources a little bit and dropping the calories down or dropping the carbohydrates down and keeping the protein high and the fat a little bit higher should help me keep hormone levels at an optimal spot, but also improve how much fat I'm burning.
Nice. Now, the reason I actually asked you about that, Eric, is because a lot of people, there's this stigma at the moment where carbohydrates are evil and, they're making you fat and things like that. But you're showing us right now that you can still have those carbohydrates in your diet while losing fat because you're still in that calorie deficit, which is what's the most important.
Yeah, 100%. So, everyone's going to be a little bit different here. And I don't want to go too much into like the endocrinology and hormone aspect of things. But, if you're already in decent shape and you're looking to really drop body fat, keep your carbohydrates high. Like if you're, we'll say 12% for men and maybe like 18 to 20% for women. And, for men, that would be maybe you can see the outline of your abs. You'll be fine keeping your carbohydrates high. If you have a lot of weight just around your hips and you have a ton of weight to lose, you want to get the carbohydrates a little bit lower. So there is some specificity within that based on where you're storing body fat. But yeah, the idea that you need to cut carbohydrates to lose body fat drives me nuts, because if you cut your carbohydrates too low and then you cannot perform in terms of your training, well, you're going to lose momentum. Your training's going to go downhill. You're going to be more likely to throw in the towel. And you're just going to struggle really from point A to point B. So my overall thought is keep the carbohydrates as high as you can for the longest time possible. And then if you start to hit a plateau, then give your body a switch and drop the carbohydrates out.
Nice. I love it. So, if we were to think about what we've just gone over today, guys, the big takeaways that Eric's talked about is making sure you get enough sleep. The biggest thing is have a deadline towards whatever your goals are going to be. So wherever you want to go, say, all right, for the next 60 days, I'm going hard at this goal. This is what I want to be able to achieve, because a goal without a deadline is simply a dream, and you aren't just dreaming. You want something to achieve. You want something to happen. Another thing is to make sure while you're dieting or anytime, keep yourself busy, because if you're busy, you're going to resist those cravings, you're not going to have those cravings, and you're going to be much more likely to stay on track. Now, when it comes to dieting and exercise, don't go balls to the wall, okay? Just stay in that calorie deficit when you can, and when it comes to training, work on your strength so you can maintain that muscle mass too. I'm pretty sure we covered most stuff, Eric. Is there anything else you'd like to share before you go?
No, I think that's the main part right there. It's, it comes back to those basics. Create a caloric deficit, eat plenty of protein, sleep, and train for strength. If you focus on those aspects, that is 90% of it. Don't get bogged down trying to look for the perfect supplement. Don't get bogged down trying to, flip your diet to go keto because everyone's talking about keto. And don't turn every weight training workout into something where, your heart rate is redlined the entire duration of the workout. Keep it simple and stay consistent. And when you set that deadline and know that great results wait on the other end, and you can see when that destination is going to be there, you'll be in so much better position to succeed going forward.
I love it. Simple isn't sexy, but it's what's going to get you the results at the end of the day. Isn't that right?
100%, man. I like to say, simple isn't sexy, but the results will be. I'd much rather have sexy results than a sexy process.
I love it. That's really, really cool. Now, before you go, you said you're documenting this on Instagram at the moment, right? So where can people follow you on Instagram? Where can we follow you?
Yeah, so Instagram.com/Bach Performance, BACH Performance. And I'm going on my stories every single day. I'm doing a live every couple days, talking about the process, talking about what I'm struggling with. And then I'm going through and we're also posting pretty frequently in terms of just regular content on the feed. So if you stay tracked there or stay in touch there, you're going to see what we're doing, what kind of meals we're having. Whether I hit my diet numbers that particular day, I haven't been perfect, but I'm sharing it with you guys because it happens for us as coaches too. But I just want to show you the entire process so you understand the sacrifices that are part of the game, the exact type training that we do, and so you can start to apply some of these different aspects to what you are doing, to how you want to succeed with your journey.
I love it, dude. All right, guys. So I'm going to put that in the show notes. Once again, it's Instagram.com/Bach Performance. And that's where you can find out everything that he's doing at the moment. So, Eric, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing what's been going on with you at the moment and how we can keep our dieting simple and not sexy.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I had a great time. And thank you guys, everyone, for listening. If you need anything, reach out. I am there for you, too.
All right, guys. You have a good day, and I'll speak to you next time. Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. Now, I've got a special gift for you. If you want to learn how I managed to lose 10 kilos and keep it off, then I've got the perfect treat for you. I've got a free intermittent fasting cheat sheet that I share on my website that shows you exactly how to diet effortlessly with intermittent fasting and fit it into your busy lifestyle. And more importantly, this is the exact guide that I follow every single day that allowed me to lose 10 kilos of body fat and keep it off 4 years later. So head on over to www.tysonbrown.com.au and pick up your free cheat sheet today and learn how to fit intermittent fasting into your life and diet effortlessly. Once again, that's www.tysonbrown.com.au. Opt in for the free cheat sheet and I'm going to send it straight to your inbox for free. Until next time, speak to you guys then.